question about ordinance 2016-6. This situation, I guess my question is, how can we as this council pass this ordinance when we've not been involved in any of the proceedings prior to this time? Would this not have died with the last council?
No, because you approved it. It was a negotiated arrangement, so the contract all happened last year. The only thing was that the payment was put off until this year.
But
Who
approved it though?
The city council.
Previous council.
Previous council.
So that would have died with them. If they didn't approve it before they left office, would this not? I mean, it's my understanding they approved it, understood, but right. We are the ones that have to give the money up.
Yes. Because the council approved it. If it would have died if all the contract requirements had not been met in a particular year, or if the vote went past the first year. In other words, they didn't approve it before the end of the year. All the requirements for the contract are there. It was agreed to. The discussion was that it be appropriated. The only reason we have the appropriation now, it wasn't put into the original budget. And there was no referendum on the ordinance, and all ordinances have a presumption of validity. I reviewed it all today. I figured this question would come up, so.
Ms. Frischi?
There was a contract signed by Mr. Lanyo for the 32. Where are we going with contract? I don't remember that.
You had an agreement. They just negotiated it, and that was the agreement.
So there's something signed by council and by...
No. You know full well there was an agreement made by council. I know you didn't support it, but council
There was an
supported
ordinance, but then
Correct.
Mr. Lanyo didn't want payment until 2016.
Correct.
And then
that was because of the postponement of all the other issues running through that. All the discussions that we had that took months.
So how does 3 new council members vote on something that they had no knowledge of, no information of prior to today?
They don't have to vote on it.
So then why do we have an ordinance?
Because you discussed it, agreed to it last year, and all the requirements of the contract were fulfilled last year except for the payment. So if we're going to have contracts that we entered into in 15 and we change over and all of a sudden we're not going to pay the person for our rock salt, what are you going to do then? Get sued. We have a lot of requirements that are done. Now, if it hadn't got passed before the end of the year, or the requirements of the contract were not fulfilled, it'd be different.
Mr. Wolbser.
You said that we don't have to vote on this?
You don't want to vote on it, you don't have to vote on it. She said, well, what if the 3 members don't want to vote on it? Don't vote on it.
Well, that's not
right.
the point. We do have to approve it. I've got to vote yes or no, correct?
No, you don't have to vote. Council has to approve it. You don't have to approve it. Nobody sitting over there has to approve it. It's council that approves it. If you don't want to vote on the issue, you don't have to vote on the issue.
Is abstaining a no vote?
Abstaining is a no vote, not a no vote. You're not voting. There is no vote. It always goes with the majority. So it could be a yes vote, it could be a no vote, but it is no vote.
Mr. Stachak?
Don, I'm sorry, I want to split some hairs here for a second just to make sure that we're clear. If I'm understanding what you're saying, you're using the word contract, but I'm taking it to be a verbal agreement rather than a contract, because as I understand it, we couldn't have entered into a contract without a certification of funds from my office. So is it indeed a verbal agreement, or is it actually a contract that we have with Mr. Lanyo?
It is a verbal agreement.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Mr. Watson?
So the consequences of council not passing this payment?
Then we won't have the money to pay it, and I'm sure Mr. Lanyo will go to court, and we can deal with it there.
Mr. Wobser?
Would this be the first time that something like this has gone to court?
Of this type, yes. Last time it was a mandamus action, improperly filed, obviously, because of the situation and because there was another way to make the recovery. So that never belonged in court under a mandamus action in the first place. But in this case, probably would not again be a mandamus action because he has another way to recover. And a mandamus action is an action of last resort when there's no other way to have the matter resolved in equity. So probably will be a lawsuit.
Any other old business?